again for the first ever one-off UEFA Cup final in Paris on the 6th of May. Today, we go some of the way to providing the answer in watching Inter play the surprise team of the tournament so far, Spartak Mosca. And then we'll be observing Lazio in the journey to the controversial Atletico Madrid stadium. It's all in the UEFA melting pot. This magnificent stadium, housing so many marvelous games in the past, and Inter coming back to form, winning the last two games, second in the Serie A, and are looking very strong indeed, even though they're minus Moriero and Simoni, both suspended for this. But winning these games recently, and Ronaldo getting back into scoring form, scoring his 18th of the season so far in the Serie A. It gives them, I think, an edge over Spartak. Many people might expect that team there to be very much the underdogs. Well, they're certainly not favourites to win here, but given the fact that they went to the Amsterdam Arena and won by 3-1 there, these names, who are hardly household names, will nevertheless be given the greatest respect. Watch number 8, for example, Dmitry Alenichev, Russian Player of the Year, and Sergei Gorlukovich, number 2, 37 years of age, still playing very much like a teenager. And they're talking about youth as against age here. The great Ronaldo shading off to a certain extent in the league, looking just a little bit tired given his on and off-field activities. And there, the great Giuseppe Bergomi. He will be playing 100 games in Europe tonight. Taribo West, a man who played for 4 years for Auxerre, developed under Giroud. And let's see what a Frenchman thinks about all this. Yuri Djorkaeff. He scored 7 goals this season, and he's saying, well, you know, you've got to be very careful with these teams. They are the underdogs, but nevertheless, they have to be treated with great respect. I'd rather play the Spaniards because, to be perfectly honest, you know what to expect there. You can get in behind them. Marcus Merck, the referee, on a rather tense occasion. Going back to Spartak, they had a remarkable series of games. They failed to qualify for the Champions League. Kosici beat them at that, and then he went on to play FC Sion. And that was, well, I think it'll be down in the history books now, because they discovered their crossbar was too low. And although they had won by 3-2, it was taken back to a draw by UEFA 2-2. But in the replayed game, they went on to win by 5-1. And I would suggest that that replayed game was more indicative of their form than anything that happened before then. And in that game, the player I was talking about, Alenichev, scored his first goal of the series. Now, they play wonderful possession football at times. Ball moving from man to man with a great deal of coordination and organization. I think that's the basis of the play. There's no great, outstanding star the way that Inter can provide them with the likes of Ronaldo, Elias, Taribo West, and Yuri Djorkaeff, the man you've just been listening to. Just easily flipped out there by Ronaldo, who was lying a little bit deep. Zamorano going into the box, and there, the first shot of the match by the man everybody expects to score in every game. Just getting underneath it, though. I think a little bounce of the ball. Didn't quite get it cleanly. But nobody hits the ball as fiercely as he does when he's on his form. Away on the far side, Romanenko can't bring it down. There's Djorkaeff. Wonderful passer of ball, Zamorano. Very few games this season. Zamorano there, the Chilean international, almost getting a break, and it's taken away by Kozlestov. There he is, came from Real Madrid, of course, where he was a much more prolific goal scorer than he has been with Inter. Put in there by Bergomi, and out comes Alexander Filimonov. He's only 24, and indeed is a youngish Moscow side certainly they have very much the veteran here on that far side. There's Zamorano. Now Zamorano is just under 6 feet. There have been taller strikers than he, but I doubt very much if anybody has a greater spring than he has. He is catching up away. Lovely little dummy, and nobody following up. Alenichev tried to get up on the left-hand side, just a little bit late. Djorkaeff. Watch Ronaldo. Now that could be fatal for the Russians, leaving a one-on-one with Ronaldo. There's the leap by the Chilean I talked about, but you could see from that he was rather more using another part of his anatomy. Well, they're cutting him off well, and I must say Gorlukovich against the younger man doing very well. Ronaldo being forced across the field. That's more like Ronaldo. Terrible West just to the left-hand side. And coming through now, Zanetti, the young Argentinian. Well, first a little taste of the Brazilian here. The South American influence in this side very much predominating. Well, they deserve more than a corner kick out of that. Not very often you see Ronaldo coming across here, certainly not with the Brazilian side taking the corner kicks, and that's just beyond the keeper and over. His first misjudgment, and Alan Winter, the former Ajax player, coming up on that. Well, they've looked a little bit suspect with the high cross ball, and maybe that's something that Inter will spot. What the Italian teams are very good at doing, of course, is examining the opposition very quickly, even before the game, of course, but once a game gets started, they can probe the weaknesses. A shot there by the oldest man in the field by a long way, ex-Borussia Dortmund, ex-Bayer Uerdingen, Sergei Gorlukovich. Gigi Simoni, Inter coach. Getting good support there. That just taking it down again by Zamorano. And just to the side. He's only scored a couple of Serie A goals this season, Zamorano. Of course, he's really been misplaced, if you like. Made almost redundant by the introduction of Ronaldo himself, so he's having to fight very hard. And of course, they've got Kanu sitting on the sidelines as well. And how nice to see him in a team at all, given the serious heart condition he had. Aaron Winter just taking his eye off it. Moment of lapse of concentration, which under any circumstances in the European game can turn a game. Well, I think we've seen a typical Spartak opening, comprehensively organized in defense and relying on the speed, and they really are very quick on the break, relying on the speed of such as Shirko, who's scored 6 UEFA goals so far, and Alenichev. Inter second in Serie A, just behind Juve. Winter, at this time, a much more benign cross. There goes Ananko. Here's Alenichev. Spreading out very well on this far side. Gorlukovich was meant to take it up. Elias comes away, and now Zanetti. There's a young man who likes to pick it up. Ronaldo wants to go himself, and it's taken away. Very good tackle there by Dimitri Ananko, another young man on the side. Two men from different continents there, both young. and both capable of great touches of maturity. Kelestov. Oh, far too gentle with that. Seems to have fallen away a bit. Remember, the Russian side have just restarted Russian football again after the winter break, so they might be just a little bit rusty. That's better play by Zamorano. Tried to get it into Ronaldo, and eventually a very poor shot, finishing that off. Almost an apology given by the Argentinian. Kelestov coming back very deep. Igor Titov. Again, he's only 21. Promising player, and of course they've got to find it very difficult to hold on to the players given the financial difficulties they have in Eastern Europe nowadays, especially Russia. Djorkaeff, that I think might be a booking for Simbalara. Yes, indeed. He scored at the weekend against St. Petersburg, even though Spartak were beaten 2-1. And as I pointed out, they've just finished the long winter break, so it'll be interesting to see how they develop near the end of this game. Sometimes you find Eastern European sides after the break tire somewhat in the later stages of the quarterfinals of tournaments in Europe, if they so reach them. Indeed, it is a point to make that they are handicapped by their arduous winter. One of the reasons why, just one of the reasons why they've never ever as clubs dominated in European football. Elias, Brazilian, young and very tough, too tough at times. In by Alenichev, who's lying deep. Pushed forward by Shirko. Here's the break, Ananko. And the final pass, once again letting them down. Bergomi. Elias picking it up deep. Only 22 now, Elias, but he plays like a man of 32. Now put forward, Ronaldo. Just watch him trying to get the jink and curl it round. Well, he wasn't far away. He always has that capability, even though he's cornered, and he's never more dangerous than when he is. Yuri Djorkaeff was emphasizing was the ability of the Russians to absorb a great deal of pressure, and using the good organization to come out very quickly. This is the kind of pattern we've been observing, but on the other hand, the final ball's been loose, and Elias trying to take the benefit again of winning that spare ball in midfield. I don't think Zamorano would have been playing in this game if Moriero or Simoni had been fit. Here's Elias. Remember, he was sent off in the final of the Qatar tournament when he was only 18 for some of the most vicious tackling I've ever seen, let alone his age group. I think he's undergone some what you might call coaching therapy since then. That's Zamorano again. How good he is in the air. This time I didn't really need to leap at it. It was all a matter of geometry, getting the right angle. Stake there by Bergomi, and there, Pagliuca. Seemed confident enough for that. Winter, not really dominating in midfield. There's a great deal of misorganization to the foot of Kitchenov. They're just far too quick as they break up these attacks. Zanetti coming back now, Ronaldo. Look at the way the white jerseys come back to defend, and that was the experienced Gorlukovich. Eventually rendering that null and void. Just get the feeling, though, that Ronaldo, you know, with this kind of jinking run of his, flatters to deceive at times. I mean, he is going to be very closely marked, both in these games and in the World Cup. I just wonder if the Brazilians will be able to give him the kind of support he needs. One begins to question their ability to do that. Djorkaeff in a good position, just a little bit selfish. Tackled there by Ananko. Well, the man who shot that in scored one of the best UEFA Cup Winners' Cup goals, I should say, when he played down in Spain for Paris Saint-Germain, Deportivo. Came on as a sub and scored within 2 minutes to put Paris Saint-Germain into the final of the Cup. And there, a man with another taste of French football, Taribo West. Scored a very vital goal, though, in the last game when they played against Schalke. Game that went to extra time, of course, and he's the man in front of almost a 60,000 crowd who scored the goal that put them through on away goals. Look how deep Zamorano is. Ronaldo. Here he goes again, that characteristic run. Zamorano, can he touch it away? Just getting slightly heated now. They didn't like the attention on the goalkeeper. Oleg Romanentsev. Looking slightly worried about the tackle there by Kolestov. Watch him going in here and then losing it rather easily. I think it was the dig there as he was lying on the ground that incensed the Russian players. Do a lot of good running coming from the deep. Luigi Sartor. Ronaldo. Look at the power of him this time. Just a little bit too much, I think. Can he get it back? Great roar of anticipation there by the crowd. And I think maybe peripherally, he was aware that nobody was coming into a very good position. He had to stab it back eventually. Not to any great effect. Here's Romarenko. Picked up by Gorlukovich. Man who's had great experience in the Bundesliga. Now finishing his career here. This is Alan Winter. Zamorano. And just beyond Bergomi, of all people, suddenly wandering into the penalty area. And there's Bergomi again. Wow, what an audacious goal that would have been for the man who's now created a record in Italy for European appearances. The 35-year-old captain coming forward there, leading from the front, although he'll have to watch the breakaways. It's exactly what Djorkaeff was trying to pinpoint, put forward there by Titov. Can he cut it back and inside the Romanenko? Well, I suppose he wasn't aware that he had a player just behind him who was probably in a much better position to score. That, by and large, that was a rather feeble header. It's almost as if he simply went through the motions of heading that. Elias. Well, he scored one goal in the competition so far. That was way back in September when they played in their first game against Neuchâtel Xamax. He's not a noted goal scorer, of course. He's the man, I think, who will take over the role of Dunga in the Brazilian side, perhaps even the captaincy eventually. Remember, he's only 22 now. He's the ball winner, the keystone. And there's Zamorano. Oh, that's a glorious header. Out of absolutely nothing. I did say they were looking slightly vulnerable to that kind of ball, especially that trajectory, taking it slightly away from the goalkeeper, who remained rooted to his line. And you have got to ask a question about the defender Simbala there, out-jumped by Zamorano. They must have been aware. Again, as I said, this man has a tremendous leap, a natural spring, but there was also a very aggressive touch there. Knew exactly what he wanted. Just before half-time. And Italian teams have that tradition of impeccable timing of goal scoring. His first goal of the competition, only his third goal all season. A man who's almost grown corns on his posterior, so often has he sat on the bench this season. And now coming alive and electrifying the stadium with that glorious header. Even though there might have been a deficiency in the defending of the fullback, that was almost outrageous in a way he outleapt them. 1-0 at half-time. Great sense of relief more than anything else about that last second goal at the end of the first half by Chilean international Zamorano, who, by the way, will find it very difficult to find his place in the Chilean team given the front squad that they have. There he is. Well, I think that's good for his morale. Whatever else sees Ronaldo. Well, I suppose when you are the world's most famous player, you're always going to be closely attended. Look at the number of jerseys converging on him there, making that angle very difficult. Forward by Kilestov. Spartak have been disappointing. I think what distinguishes this performance from the one in the Amsterdam Arena was that they really did look very threatening in the last third of the field against Ajax. Whereas tonight they've defended very well, but they've been rather slack in midfield, hence no contact between back and front. Djorkaeff back with it, Zamorano. Zanetti. Oh, there's nothing like a goal just before you go in for your half-time cup of tea or whatever it is they take to still the nerves, boost the confidence. That's exactly what they've had. As I said, they've defended very well indeed. Beautiful little turn there, though, by Luigi Sartor. Well, I think Ronaldo, desperate to score in this game, might have chipped that towards the far post. He had players in support. That's Titov. Just putting a little bit too much work in the ball there, Titov. Where's the number 9, but he does come back a lot into midfield, then breaks forward. This is Alenichev. There he is. Alenichev again does that beautifully. Is he going inside? That was the right kind of run that time. And Pagliuca, give him all credit for this. Stretched right out to it. Look how far he was out of his goal line. It's good goalkeeping. Alenichev again inside. Oh, it's off the post and it's in. A beautiful goal, a gem. Well, that first run of his was simply a dress rehearsal. Oh, by the way, that little subliminal glimpse there, that's a change in Europe now. Actually, it's coming from the east to watch this game, and that must have been a glorious sight for them. Look at the way he turns the defense inside out and then remains admirably cool. Threading it through the eye of the needle, and that's how it must have appeared to him. And way off again, as he's been throughout this game. Alenichev has only scored 2 goals. He's much more the playmaker. As I said, he's the Russian Player of the Year. He's only scored 2 goals in the competition. Titov. That goal certainly stunned his crowd. Here's Kechinov. Oh, terrible West. He won't give up. I think he's going to be one of the stars of the World Cup, by the way. He's immensely fit when he plays for Nigeria. Ronaldo must score this time. No! Zamorano. Great defending by the Russians again. Elias worked that out well. Just too many white jerseys. Picked up by Romashchenko. That was the substitute putting it in there. Now Elias. He's given a little bit of space here. That could be fatal. Ronaldo wants the shot again. Filimonov and goal. Not at all troubled by that. Young man though he is, talented though he is, you'd get the impression of the pressure of being the so-called #1 player in the world might be getting through to him, dulling the senses of the winner. That's a great shot by Kechinov. That's one of the best moves we've had in the game so far. Away goes Sartor here, pulling back in the jersey there, as you can see from that. And there's a wonderful move by the Russians in reply. And a second save by Pagliuca, right out of the top drawer. Well, Yuri Djorkaeff goes off, I think more or less because he's run himself out. He is a running kind of player, very mobile. And on comes number 16 for the Russians as well, Alexei Melyoshin. So Recoba and Alyosha now on as subs. Ronaldo coming back, doing a little bit of fetching and carrying now. Oh, can't afford to make mistakes like that. Elias inside, Zanetti, and nobody coming up, and that, I think, indicates that lack of sharpness that you might expect from a great player like Ronaldo. He simply spectated on that. Elias again. Look how alert he is. Quick looks to see where anybody is. Luigi Sartor tries to give him some support. That's the shot by Zanetti, and that's exactly what I was saying about Ronaldo. There he is again. He's going for it. Little doubt about that. He might have laid it on. Aaron Winter. Zanetti, now the break. Picked up by Alenichev. That's how mobile he is. Good control that. To Titov. Tended to slow the play up, and Winter takes it away. Now Zanetti. Look at the space he has. Good little bust, and I wouldn't fault him for that. I think they were expecting him to lay it off, and he decided to go himself. It almost paid off. I think they've gone through several packets. Good, solid defensive performance by the Russians. And just occasional, and I must say occasionally brilliant moves forward. Remember, they've only restarted a season again. I was talking about the potential for rustiness towards the end of the game. I think we're now beginning to see that. Ronaldo! Well, by the law of averages, he might put one away. Certainly in the mood to shoot. Ronaldo. And that's not far away. The substitute Recoba coming right through in that. Recoba hasn't scored in this tournament, but he has scored 2 important goals in the Italian Cup. Very tight defense there, Ronaldo. Tries to get it over, just picked off by Filimonov. Stretched to the extreme, still remains 1 each. Gorlukovich maybe suffering a little. And on comes the Brazilian Luis Robson, and again, it does show you there's a huge cultural change in football now that a Brazilian, young Brazilian, 22 years of age, is playing for a Moscow side. Why not? But it is rather different as Zamorano goes up again. Really is excellent in the air. I think what has let him down in the past, he's been a prolific goal scorer, of course, but what has let him down in the past has been his temperament in front of goal. He's also a great misser of chances, but that time out-jumping Romashchenko. And Benoit Cauet, French international, replacing the Dutchman. Cauet ended his time with Paris Saint-Germain, of course. Very useful player to have in your squad. Scored against his compatriots. And that ball put forward there. And I think the defense felt that this young man has come on, wouldn't be sharp enough to catch it at this stage. Well, he almost upended them. There he goes, just in. He got the wrong angle on it. Elias. Zanetti played against Elias in that famous or infamous cup final in Qatar. And down goes Filimonov again. Zanetti now has been told quite obviously to raid far forward. Stabbing at it, almost a toe poke. And now, I'm sure all lovers of the game delighted to see Kanu coming onto the field, replacing the goal scorer. Kanu 2 years ago was told he'd never play football again, leaving some doubt about the validity of his transfer from Ajax to Inter. But he went to the States to see specialists, they operated on him, and he's back. There he is. And that's him almost opening up the defense right away to Ronaldo. Kanu is a very awkward player. He has these kind of leggy, that kind of giraffe look about him. And he can be awkward because when he gets the ball, he's very difficult to dispossess. And of course, he's excellent in the air. There he is. Not to be underestimated. He did that very well indeed. And for such a big leggy man, he is very precise in tight positions like that. Robson, he did very well. And I think there might be a yellow card out of this. There really ought to be. As Elias will get it. That is not the greatest surprise of the night. Little soliloquy there of defiance, as long as he keeps it to himself. So the young Brazilian, unheard of course, in the upper echelons of his country, doing very well there, showing courage, which is a good sign. Elias will go back into the line. Now, what are they plotting? crucial stage of this game. Terrible West goes back. Terrible West played in that Olympic final, which we showed on Eurosport in Atlanta. Beside him is Alenichev and Romashchenko coming forward, and I think the crowd getting slightly agitated, perhaps imagining that the Russians are playing for time, but it's something to do with the defensive wall, and it doesn't go through. Now, was that offside? No, it wasn't. So there was a chance there that was put through by Romashchenko, although it would have been fortuitous. Kanu tries to loft that inside to Romario. West. Zanetti. Well, I did say he's obviously been instructed to shoot on sight like Romario, but I think that needed to be laid off again. Gigi Simoni not impressed. Still one each. Been a very easy 100th European game for Giuseppe Bergomi at the back, and indeed he almost came up and snatched a goal himself. That's put forward by Pagliuca. They are getting slightly desperate. They don't like the score one little bit. Now Zanetti out to the outside, and it's neatly picked up though. Recoba did the running on the left-hand side. Ooh, that was an elbow. Oh. Had that connected with the face, then it would have been a sculpting job, I think. Very debonair Russian coach. Taribo West. Ooh, that almost sneaks through. Recoba did that. That goalkeeper hasn't really impressed me. Kanu tried to burrow his way in, and he has caused them real anxiety since coming on. I think his very size, his legginess, his awkwardness to go into. And there's the shot. The goalkeeper should have done much better than that. I don't think the plane journey back to Moscow would have been very pleasant for him had that gone in there. Practically on the final whistle. Oh, it's in by Elias! He's done it! A Brazilian clincher. So the South Americans have transformed what might have been a leaden situation for Inter into a possible pot of gold. That gives them a 2-1 lead. I can't see the Russians doing much more in the stoppage time we have left. And up he comes there to pop it in. Second goal, as you saw there, in the competition. Third goal in all, including the Italian Cup. And the ball slipped through the legs of Titov. Now, Titov, I suppose, oughtn't really to be there. He's not a defender, but at this stage of the game, they just pack everybody in. Now, had that fallen to the more experienced Gorlukovich or Kolestov beside him, they may not have scored. But Titov coming back in, took his eye off it. Good run on the outside, Alenichev. Well, having said all of that, if anybody had said to the Russians that they would leave this 2-1 down, they might not have been too discomforted by it, given that away goal they've scored, which is very vital. Kanu is back in defense there. They can't afford to lose it. Now away by Bergomi though. And the whistle goes. There's a bit of an uproar in the middle of the field there. I think a delayed reaction tackle as the final whistle went, and unfortunately ending in a rather ugly spectacle in the middle of the field. There's Recoba getting involved with Kalestov, claiming he was hit in the face, maybe not deliberately, and unfortunately an excellent game. The image of it anyway rather marred by that. There's little doubt that Recoba from that shot there did lift his boot and put it in the direction of Kalestov.